Now, this brings me to a debate that, of course, X fucking exploded. Is Matthew Stafford?
Matthew Stafford seems like an
Here you go. We'll just
exceptional
let it play.
guy.
Yeah.
He has a beautiful family, his wife, his story, all of that. He deserves this, what he did in Detroit, the loyalty, all of it. And he had a great game. But Dan, you on Get Up, you were a little out of control with this is the best performance ever, and you got a little carried away with it.
No. All I said was
I heard this. I didn't hear. Yes, I pre-watched the video. I'm sorry. I heard Molly say that about Dan. And I'm like, okay. That's not the craziest take, but my mind immediately goes to Eli Manning back in either 2007 or 2011. And I go and I check the stats. And Eli in 2007 was the same as Matthew Stafford was this year, which fucking blew my mind.
I think it's one of the most clutch, if not the most clutch postseason stretches ever, performance-wise by a quarterback. Tampa Bay, San Francisco. Molly, literally, they've won 3 straight postseason games by 3 points. All 3 contained game-winning drives by Matthew Stafford. Never been done. I mean, it's not hyperbolic. It is a fact. The last quarterback to do it in a conference championship and a Super Bowl was your boy, Eli Manning. And you say that it locked up the Hall of Fame. So I'm just only using that as evidence to support that Matthew Stafford, because of yesterday, has one of the greatest clutch postseason runs ever, is a Hall of Famer and a Super Bowl champion. And this shirt that I'm wearing, I wore yesterday to the game, and it smells like beer, but I'm wearing it again today.
That's absolutely disgusting. And we all know that he's wearing like $100 shirt underneath it, and he is just like that stank ass fucking Bud Light smelling ass shirt. I want nothing to do with it. However, getting back to the task at hand here before Stephen A. and before Michael Irvin goes, I saw this when Richard Sherman had a fucking hella disrespectful quote, basically talking about how the Hall of Fame doesn't mean anything, and how, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna pull it up, because I don't want to make Richard Sherman sound worse than he is. And again, I'm sure Richard Sherman is a very nice guy. I just think that he is incredibly off base in these remarks. These are from his Twitter, by the way. I'm going to talk about it on the podcast, but the Hall of Fame bar is incredibly low. Like a participation trophy, no all-decade team, no all-pro, no MVP, 1 Pro Bowl, not even MVP of the Super Bowl, never considered the best in any year he played. At least Matt Ryan has an MVP. He continues, he did nothing spectacular. It's really a microcosm of his career. Did good, not great. Made a few wow passes, made a few facepalm passes. Aaron Donald and Vaughn are the 2 Hall of Famers he should thank. Of course, without a doubt, Aaron Donald and Von Miller are getting into the Hall of Fame. Whenever. As soon as they retire, they're going to be in. There's no measuring stick that makes Stafford a Hall of Famer other than playing in the most pass-happy decade in NFL history. Inflated numbers make every QB that starts 10-plus years a Hall of Famer. He gets his day, brother, but just throwing him at Hall of Fame like that just irks me. So many had to be the most dominant to make it. This is just the fact that Richard Sherman, who one would think is an authority on this, Richard Sherman is a future Hall of Famer. Had one of the most dominant peaks that a cornerback has ever had. And for him to say this about Matthew Stafford, who didn't even have his most statistically impressive year this past season, it's just disrespectful. Like, we're not talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick, a guy who is super beloved, had a couple good years here and there after rising from a backup role to take over a playoff team or whatever it was. Like, no. Matt Stafford, if he continues at this pace, will be in the Hall of Fame. I sincerely believe that. Maybe not now, obviously, because he just won his first Super Bowl, but like, to talk about a guy who's already top 15 in, I think, both passing yards and passing touchdowns. Like, this dude's had like 10 years, 8 years or so. I'm going to fucking just look at the numbers now, actually. So we're going to start with passing touchdowns. He's been in the top 10 in passing touchdowns 6 times. He's got the 12th most passing touchdowns of any quarterback ever. The same goes with passing yards. He has the 12th most passing yards in the history of football. He's been top 10 in passing yards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. This same guy who was thrown to Calvin Johnson turned Marvin Jones Jr. and Golden Tate into 1,000-yard receivers. Matt Stafford is also 11th in passes completed. Statistically, this guy has a Hall of Fame case, and motherfuckers were making the same argument against Eli. And we didn't even start talking about Eli as a Hall of Famer until he retired, after he had beaten Tom Brady in the Super Bowl twice. I mean, he did it once, and you could have put him into the Hall of Fame. But to think that motherfuckers do not value the statistical dominance of certain guys is absolutely insane to me. I mean, Eli Manning was only a 4-time Pro Bowler. Like, the breadth of talent at the quarterback position over the last 20 years. Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers, Michael Vick had a couple solid years. Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, and now with all the new guys, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. The quarterback position in the NFL now is not dissimilar from the point guard position in the NBA, where it is so packed with talent that the only way to stand out is to be the last guy standing, is to be a champion. Because the statistics, everyone is so good that they're putting up similar numbers. But Matthew Stafford has been doing this forever, right? This guy had a fucking 5,000 passing yard season in his 3rd year. He was 23 years old and threw for 5,000 yards. Like, I don't understand how Richard Sherman, a guy who knows football probably better than 99% of people who have played, someone who's excelled at his position, can look at Matt Stafford, who is not done playing yet. He could still probably play for another 4 or 5 years, and not think that he's going to be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. Now let's get back to what everyone else has to say about this.
And I know somebody said that they would trust a different quarterback in that game over Matthew Stafford. It was wrong.
That was me.
I mean,
that was me.
Joe Burrow might have been the better quarterback last night.
You're
When they get
out
in
of
here.
your mind.
Okay.
First of all, it's a couple of things. Let's tell the American people the truth.
Oh my God, Stephen, they
First
get
of
to
all, he's absolutely right about the playoff run Matthew Stafford had. He's absolutely right about the fact that this performance has solidified the fact that Matthew Stafford is a future Hall of Famer. There is no denying it.
Okay.
I don't like how Dan tries to act like everybody didn't notice that Matthew Stafford had mad skills and that he was contaminated by being a Detroit Lion. Okay.
Every year, every season, when the end of the year rolled around, people looked at Matt Stafford's box score and went, holy shit, this guy's a fucking demon. Every year, year after year. Yet he was overshadowed by playing in a smaller market, not a premier market by any means, and just playing on a team that was not up to his talent level once Calvin Johnson left. People forget that on a numbers basis, Matt Stafford is in line with the best of them.
Okay, one of the worst franchises in the history of football, okay, which it continues to prove it every chance they get, okay? Matthew Stafford, the great Matthew Stafford, with a multitude of game-winning drives on his resume before he ever arrived in Los Angeles, had a record of 74-90 as a quarterback for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
So think about that. Game-winning drives. Without them, it would have been even worse. So we know how his skill set speaks to the fact
Let's
that
actually, because I did notice that. Matt Stafford he's led the league in game-winning drives 3 times. He's got 42 for his career. Look at this, man. What are we doing? The 7th most game-winning drives in NFL history, behind Matt Ryan, Brett Favre, Dan Marino, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. And he has not played nearly as long as some of these guys. I mean, like, it's so asinine to even, like, to not even acknowledge that this is a debate. Like, to just be like, oh, the Hall of Fame is a participation trophy now. It's disrespectful, man.
is just contaminated by being a part of a.
You always got to take shots at Detroit.
Of a weak French. No. I'm not taking shots at anybody. I speak
Yes, he
facts.
is, dude. He's talking
the
shit.
Detroit Lions are a horrible organization. Now, I hope they get better because I love the city of Detroit. I love its fan base. You know what I'm saying? I love it when I can't wait to get back there and to check out downtown and the whole bit. But it damn sure ain't gonna be to see the Detroit Lions.
Pistons.
And let me throw the Pistons in there too. I mean, damn, they're horrible as well. Even though I believe in my man Troy Weaver and his vision, and I think they'll go in the right direction. But when it comes to Matthew Stafford specifically, we needed to see what we saw yesterday. And I believe, and we'll get into Odell Beckham Jr. later. I believe if Odell Beckham Jr. hadn't gotten hurt, this wouldn't have even been close. We wouldn't have had an opportunity to see late game heroics by Matthew Stafford. But and I tweeted about this before the game. All I wanted, because I got no chips in this game. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, okay? But all I wanted to see, and I was begging to see this.
If Odell doesn't get hurt, he's putting up 200 yards. I firmly believe that.
I know you were out here. Stephen A., I wish you would have come out here. This Super Bowl was made for you. Yeah. This is Hollywood. Yeah. It was big time. Everywhere you went, there were superstars, and everybody said, where's Stephen A.? Where's the big superstar Stephen A.? Everybody was looking for you. I said I got to spank him from long distance. I'm going to just have to spank him from long distance. Now, let me get to Matthew Stafford, because, let me get to Matthew Stafford. Let me tell you something, because we're talking about what did he gain with his legacy.
Like, Eli remains the most apt comparison for this, because it really is the most fitting. Like, Eli goes to the Giants go to the Super Bowl in 2007, and they win, right? And if they don't go back and win in 2011, I still think that if Eli's career plays out the same, he's getting into the Hall because he had the numbers, right? Granted, he did play a long time, had a lot of yards, a lot of interceptions. He was a gunslinger, right? Eli was a true gunslinger. But you can't look at this guy Eli Manning, this derpy-looking dude from Mississippi or wherever the fuck he was from, and overlook him going up against Tom Brady and Randy Moss, two of the best at their position in what was probably the best seasons they've ever had. 50 passing touchdowns for Tom Brady, 23 receiving touchdowns for Randy Moss, and they got fucking clapped, okay? They got clapped. Randy Moss and Tom Brady lost to Eli Manning and Plaxico Burress. We're going to have this debate forever with Matt Stafford, but I think that just like overall, it's fucking insane to me that Richard Sherman was disrespectful enough to be like, oh yeah, it's a participation trophy. Like, yo, he just participated in the fucking Super Bowl. And he participated in winning the Super Bowl. Like, I don't get it. But we're going to shift off of this. Once again, congratulations to the LA Rams.